best sketchbook an artist could get is definitely not a Moleskine, and it's 100% not an iPad Pro. But this right here is what I consider to be one of the greatest sketchbooks a beginner could buy. Now, before I get into it, I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a beginner and a little bit about my experience of taking art seriously for the first time. So if you consider yourself a beginner artist or someone that does art on the regular and just wants to improve quicker, I would definitely stay tuned, because some of the things that I'm going to be talking about today are things that would have helped me out years ago if I have learned them then. So without further ado, I'll get right into it. When I was a kid, I really liked to draw. I'd pretty much be drawing all day, every day, pencil in hand, just drawing away at whatever would come to mind. And I did that up until around high school. And in high school, that's when my priorities started to change, and art didn't necessarily seem as something as obvious as a career at the time. So I slowly stopped drawing. Up until about 2 years ago, I woke up with the sudden urge to just draw. I wanted to draw. And by the end of the day, I thought, again, I was like, this is something I want to do professionally. You know, out of all the futures that I could see myself doing, art just seemed to make me the most happy. So that was cool and all, but I started to panic because I felt like I was investing my time into doing something else when I really should have been drawing all that time. So I found that any sketchbook I could find in my house. This was just laying around for like 15 years, and I found this sketchbook, and I just started to fill up the thing with just a massive amount of drawings that I would refer to them as panic drawings, because I was just trying to learn as fast as I possibly could. And you know, I would just start to draw, study, you know, doing as much as I possibly could in order to just start drawing again. And then, you know, a lot of these things were, you know, maybe tutorials that I found on YouTube or books, and I would just draw. And here you go. Here's the first time I've ever attempted gesture drawing, really, because I didn't necessarily see it as a thing back then. But after I started to learn that, you know, gesture drawing is a thing, I just started to practice it like crazy. I started to study, and within the 16 hours in a single day, I filled up this entire 40-page sketchbook. And throughout the next 3 to 4 days, I didn't fill one, not two, but 3 of these sketchbooks. And it completely changed the way I viewed drawing. It reset my mind. Instead of just drawing for just fun and nothing else, I was drawing to study, to practice, to get better. And even though it was fueled by this panic of I need to get better as soon as possible, it set me on the course for the next 2 or year and a half, really, of what my practice was to become. So after I finished these 3 sketchbooks, I was hooked, and I found out by watching YouTube videos, I found out about something, you know, called art fundamentals, and it's really something I never put thought into until I just started sketching like crazy. For the next month or so, I just started to practice the fundamentals. I found resources online, books, a bunch of things that allowed me to practice perspective, shape, and form, and it really gave me a more calculated approach to doing art, which for the first time ever, it didn't seem as elusive or ambiguous for the first time ever. And I practiced the fundamentals for probably like 3-4 months straight, just going at it. And I realized that, okay, now that I've practiced the fundamentals for so long, I starting to feel more like work than actual fun. So I was like, okay, now it's time to bring back the actual fun into my drawing. And that's when I started to pull in other elements that I wanted to learn. This right here is something that I did in elementary school, which was something that was more, you know, it was more based around just trying to come up with this finished, beautiful product. It didn't matter how long I took on it. And it would take me, you know, maybe a few days to finish back then. But now I was just cranking out as many artworks as I possibly could in a small time frame. So with that being said, I just quickly got this cheap notebook that I found at a university, and I just started to pump it full of drawings. Just kept drawing. as much as I could. You know, got models from Pinterest and just started sketching away at whatever reference I could find. And you know, I was having a blast just studying and doing whatever I could to just learn the next bit of information. I was hooked, addicted. There was a little monkey in the back of my head just going, draw, draw, draw. I tell you, dude, it was insane. I would go from one thing to the next, just fascinated about learning about all the anatomies and muscle. So in that whole time I was drawing, I didn't even buy a single sketchbook. The first sketchbook that I bought was like this 150 yen sketchbook I got from a dollar store. And this is just the first sketchbook I ever bought. It was super cheap. I just needed to get something just to put my ink drawings in because I wanted to just dabble and do something new at the time. So I just really started to practice with style. So I had like these weird, wacky, stylized ink drawings. And, you know, I just started to practice, you know, sketching, inking, and stuff like that. And really just becoming more and more addicted with just drawing as much as I could. I kid you not. Yeah. A lot of these people were naked because I haven't even started clothes yet, so keep that in mind. But, you know, that was the next sketchbook. So there you go. This is the first sketchbook I have ever bought. And this was all throughout the flurry of my panic stages where I was just drawing to just get better. I wasn't trying to enjoy it. I was literally just trying to get better because I was in such a panic that I was, you know, late to the bandwagon of drawing. And within that entire span, from this first sketchbook that I picked up that one day to this one, the difference between this was about 5 months time. So I went from just drawing these and studying these broken figures where these lines didn't really resemble much, to actually having an understanding of anatomy and style, and trying to just break down, you know, what art is. So the moment I took art seriously, I realized one thing. It's not just trying to create the perfect, most beautiful drawing in a sketchbook that is going to make me improve. It was just focusing on 1,000 little small sketches, very quick, so I could fail quicker. The quicker I failed, the quicker I learned. After having a slew of panic drawing and seeing the improvement within my work, I was able to determine what the best sketchbook for a beginner was, and that is a simple yet sturdy clipboard along with the cheapest printer paper you could find. And I know it's not as pretty as a sketchbook you would buy from an art supply warehouse or something like that, but that's the point of it. It completely shatters that anxiety between the beginner and whatever they're drawing on. When you buy a sketchbook, you could be very anxious to fill it up with masterpieces or some stuff that you want to show your friends. But this clipboard and piece of paper is so cheap and so just dirt filthy that you could fill this thing up and not worry about where these pages go. And that is why it's so crucial for a beginner, is because when you're a beginner, you're trying to practice the fundamentals. You're trying to just get as many sketches on the paper as possible. So this encourages them to just put sketches on the paper and move on, put sketches on the paper and move on, to make failures quick so they could make more successes along the way. Because the more they fail, the more they're able to realize that, yes, this is something that I need to get better on. And when you're working on a sketchbook and you're trying to do one sketch a day or one sketch every 2 days, you're only going to see your failures within that 2 days time. But if you drew like 20 sketches in a single day, then you could understand that, okay, well, I messed up here, 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 and here, and you're able to carry that on and learn from it quicker than you would drawing and in a very set, well-binded sketchbook that you're really scared to draw in or have anxiety of drawing in. This one right here is the key to getting quicker, faster, and I would say overall just enjoying the process of art more. It takes away the chances of you getting art block faster because you just want to get in and make the pages messier on something that isn't as grandiose as a sketchbook. So when I switched to the clipboard and paper method, I was able to crank out art faster than I've ever done before. And even if the art wasn't good, I was able to learn from it a lot faster. Let me show you just a stack of art that I completed within the last 7 months. About 7 or so months ago when I started the clipboard and paper method, I would just put a stack of paper on the clipboard and I would draw through it until I filled the entire stack up. And when I was done, I would just take the stack off and put it into just one of these brown bags under my desk. And I didn't realize how many artworks I have completed in that time, because I just checked the other day, and after 7 months, I was able to accumulate an entire stack of just artwork. And it's not just practice too. I have finished artworks to more fundamental in-depth studies in here, from either manga or just color studies and stuff like that within the stack of paper. So this is the first time I have drawn that much in such a small time frame, to where it was really the first time where I've ever felt like an artist. It really shifted my gears to start thinking more on the idea of improvement, getting better, and overall just becoming a better artist over time, which is what I would encourage everyone watching or everyone that wants to get into art to do, which is why I'm such a huge advocate of just getting a simple clipboard with simple printer paper or cardstock and just drawing on it, because that is where your progress begins, at the very bottom. So if you're guys curious, this is kind of how some of the sketches would look like when going through just drawing on my clipboard. And here is just, maybe just a little anatomy study, and on the back something completely different, just like a warm-up or maybe breaking down into primitive shapes. So really nothing that's just trying to be perfect, or not, just breaking the idea of perfectionism overall. And as you just flip through these, like, pencil sketches of girls, ink sketches of girls, and some of them just look absolutely horrid, but it doesn't matter because I just flip to the other side and I continue drawing. Studies from different tutorials and whatnot. Ink drawings of girls. More ink drawings of girls. More ink drawings. And yeah, this is just the types of stuff you'd see. Me going through either in a cafe, waiting at the dentist. And it really lets you just practice. Builds up that philosophy of practice. And I'll show you a couple more and then I'll call it quits. There's more girls. A lot of girls. I think this is like a girl phase for me. A couple months ago. Yeah, more girls, boobs. These were done, I think these were done in straight ink. There was like no sketch, because I think I went through this thing where I was just trying to build up confidence, because I saw Kim Jung-gi, a very prolific artist, doing that just straight ink, and I just got inspired and I just started to do things in straight ink. And it's very hard, but I gotta say it's made my pencil sketches a heck of a lot better. And oh, this is just like a basic sketch that I did to map out another drawing on the next page that I did. And that's the thing that's really interesting or cool about this method of sketchbooking, is that you're able to break down a sketch a lot more on one page and then flip to the next and then just do the finalized page. You're not very worried about trying to plan making it look perfect for that one sketchbook page. So this was the sketch and this was the more finalized piece. Still got, mistakes here and there, but that doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I learned something, I did it, I finalized it, and I was able to get what I wanted done. But yeah, that's just the types of stuff you'd see me practicing on my clipboard wherever. And it doesn't, like I said, doesn't need to be perfect. It's just enough to show that you did sketches here and there to build up your practice and fundamentals, or just making sure you're drawing every day to build up that muscle memory in your hand. And that's why I love this method the most. And that is why I would consider the clipboard and printer paper method of just drawing the best method or sketchbook for a beginner artist. So yeah, there you guys have it. That basically sums up why I think the clipboard is the greatest sketchbook of all time, especially for beginner artists, because not only does it encourage them to practice the fundamentals, it also is very portable and it could be taken pretty much anywhere. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, I do plan to come out with more content like this in the future where I go through my process of how I learn specific things within art. So if you want to stay in tune for that, please subscribe to the channel. And I would also appreciate it if you guys left a like and left comments below on stuff you'd like to see. So with that being said, have a nice day and keep practicing. Bye guys.